I'm Cynthia Mulligan at Osgoode Hall. Tomorrow there's going to be a mass rally right here highlighting a very painful chapter in Canadian history. It's known as the Sixties Scoop, where Indigenous children were taken from their reserves and placed in foster care, their culture ripped away from them. In Ontario, they have never received an apology for this. I want you to listen to a conversation now that I had with a woman who has started a class action lawsuit against the federal government that will be heard in court tomorrow.
I learned very early on that nobody wanted me. That's what I learned.
Marcia Brown Martel is 53 years old today, but stop and imagine her as a 4-year-old child, taken from her family and put into foster care, then bounced from one home to the next, losing her language and her very identity in the white world.
Yeah, and I actually remember being taken. I remember abuses that occurred in that time period.
What kind of abuse did you face?
Physical abuse. Sexual abuse, the emotional abuses that go along with those, and one other that I was never able to name until I got older, and that was a cultural. There's not really a name for that kind of abuse.
Marcia is one of an estimated 16,000 Indigenous children caught in the 60s Scoop in Ontario alone. All were taken during a 20-year time frame that began in the mid-60s. The impact on her life has been crushing.
I was suicidal from the time I was 7. And I don't mean every now and then. Until I was in my early 20s, I was suicidal every day. That's the impact this had.
She is the lead plaintiff in the $1.6 billion class action lawsuit against the federal government that was launched in 2009. After several appeals and delays, it will finally make it to court tomorrow.
Have we ever seen a case quite like this before?
Nope, this is the first in the Western world, and we hope for it to be a precedent. We hope that Canada acknowledges the wrongs, and we hope that this will set a precedent so that children and First Nations people will be protected in the future.
But we're gonna figure it out.
Canada's shame for its treatment of Indigenous people has been at the forefront in the past few months. Gord Downie even referenced it Saturday night during his final concert with the Tragically Hip.
Well, you know, Prime Minister Trudeau's got me. His work with First Nations, he's got everybody. He's going to take us where we need to go.
Marcia says she has hope Justin Trudeau's government will come through with promised changes. Some 50 years later, she is still trying to heal.
The scars they're part of everyday life. When one is suicidal for that many years of their life, they build a habit of constantly considering death.
Now, the crux of the argument will be heard in court tomorrow and should end by afternoon, I'm told, but it's not going to end overall anytime soon. The federal government will have until December to respond to this case.